Hi everyone, we're coming tonight to entertain and talk about the glory of handhelds and how technical limitations, do they impact games, do they make them funner, are you able to make them more fulfilling just by realizing you don't have enough space to sell portions of it later on. You can also do that with them. Each one has a different flavor, like a scratch and sniff or a lotto ticket.
This one smells like my dog.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to talk about handhelds and mainly about how their technical limitations create a very unique gameplay style which you don't necessarily get on the consoles. And we're going to talk about the various technical limitations that affect handhelds and how you can look at them in two ways. Like, personally, I think some of the tech limitations create better gameplay styles. They force game designers to be a little more creative with how they write the video games, the story, the art design. And then you can also look at it in the negative light, whether or not they're a limiting factor in how video games are designed for the handheld consoles. So do you have any opinions?
Personally, I've always been, as someone who owns pretty much every console generation that's been out, continues to work with them, I'm going to have to say the Game Boy or any of Nintendo's handhelds has been my favorite, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Since the magic of Pokemon, I've been captured by them, and I've had them all.
Pokemon?
That too.
You've caught all of them?
I've caught them all, yeah.
Oh my god.
Sadly, I have. Not to the extent of staying up every day, but maybe just not doing homework and failing in life.
Which is surprisingly, because I still, given what you just said, I still think you're a pretty cool person.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
try to hide it. Now,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go. By all means, Arthur.
Well, no. Okay, so, and that's a big thing to talk about too. I mean, Nintendo probably has the most experience. Well, they do have the most experience out of anybody in the handheld market. We were actually just talking about this, how we were looking at our handheld collections, and a vast majority of it, they are Nintendo handhelds, just because there have never really been that many other companies that have released a handheld more than once, or like more than two models, and have just stayed up with it. So yeah, Nintendo's definitely good at that, and they're great with the collectible aspect of gaming. Like you said, Nintendo or Pokemon. That was an amazing. I never got into Pokemon. I never had anything against it. It always looked like fun. I just never got around to it. But just how they kind of encouraged the collectible aspect of the game and the cards, I thought it was like brilliant. Like, what a great way to get kids to want to spend money.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and then the fact you could bully somebody by saying you had like 2 Charizards and all they had was a Parasect.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what? I remember listening in on that when I was in middle school. Like, that's when I remember
years and years ago.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah, back in my prepubescent stage last month.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it was a really big thing. But hey, okay, getting into Pokemon though, let's just look at the gameplay style of Pokemon. How it's very bare bones, and they haven't really, graphically at least.
Oh yeah, until like X or Y, they really didn't shoot forward into like 3D sprites or even moving for that matter. Like they kind of had twitches every so often, like they were on some sort of amphetamine. In I think starting in Crystal and Emerald.
Okay.
But after that, it just kind of went stagnant. I think with Black and White, that's when they finally added moving animations. Black and White too. I'm going off on a tangent. Feel free to cut it.
No, that's good. Okay, so since you have a lot of experience with Pokemon, what do you think it is about the gameplay, about the game itself, that allowed the game designers to do that, to have a very minimalistic approach to the visuals in the game, and still have it be such a huge success?
They have the cards.
Yeah.
The cool thing about the first few generations, I mean, it still goes on today. I'm not sure what card set they're on. Kind of like Magic the Gathering, except like watered down. When you were playing Pokemon Blue or Red, that image was captured in time. So was your trading card, so you really didn't see that much of a difference, I'd say.
Mhm.
As time has gone on and we're more used to, more fluid animations, RPGs started getting more in depth with like movement, we see the evolution from straight up turn-based to like Kingdom Hearts type engine. Which are all properties owned by other people. We don't claim to endorse them or own them.
Yeah. Let's get this clear.
Let's get this clear, yeah.
We are not important enough to do things like that.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah.
But as kids started to have more of a need for entertainment and as they needed to just kind of evolve the medium, that's when, once the 3DS technology was out, which I was just reading about last night, it was pretty cool how they've kind of manifested that within the gameplay, but I'll get into that in a minute. you had the ability to have these moving, living characters. If for something you're supposed to collect and love and cherish, just like on the show. I don't know if love or cherish is one of them, but you're supposed to collect them all. They're supposed to feel alive in like this vibrant world that you want to save.
When I was in high school, I used to think Misty was pretty hot. For, for a flat girl.
She hit it well.
But were we talking about Pokemon or the perverted Pokemon fan art that I would watch? Wait, we're still talking about Pokemon.
We're still Pokemon. It's all part of the general Pokemon universe.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I get it. Yeah, you do develop a bond to the Pokemon. Okay, like I said, I've never been too crazy into it. I did watch some of the show. My favorite one was Psyduck.
That was actually my favorite one, ironically.
Because he was like the high-strung, like, manic. You could tell I think he had ADHD or something.
Well, I don't know. It's weird. Now I'm not going to go into that right now because that's, it might create some sort of a taboo storm. But yeah, no, he's definitely like that odd kid who, when you picked on him enough, he finally went Super Saiyan and just kind of unleashed his rage and defended all of his friends and did some other cool things too. And his eyes turned blue. And I think he was blonde, so it's weird how that kind of... I never noticed that.
He was blonde.
Yeah. Just like Goku.
Yeah, because you don't see yellow ducks these days.
Yeah, you don't anymore.
I never even realized that, so maybe it was like a subliminal thing.
Yeah, I mean, they do take a lot of culture from that. But that's it. We'll get into the SS rank thing later.
Well, yeah, no, going back to what you said, I think the character designs, I never realized this until you just mentioned this. Like, each Pokemon had a very unique character of its own, even though it had a very limited vocabulary. It had such a cool character, like, Pikachu just being this amazing, cute little... What do you think it was about Pikachu that appealed to people? Like, why did Pikachu become kind of like the spokesperson for Pokemon?
Well, it's kind of weird, because I think originally it was supposed to be Clefairy or Clefable that was supposed to be Ash's primary Pokemon.
Oh.
But when they were creating it, they thought it wouldn't be too gender neutral enough. Mm-hmm. So they said it was too feminine, so that's when they swapped over to Pikachu. It can lure in kids and, like, people who have a softer side to them because it's like a fluffy rodent. And then it has that cool ability to just electrocute anything. And I mean, everybody has put, except for me, has put like a spork or like a spoon into the electrical outlet at some point in their life so that they realize how deadly that is. So the more crazed portions of our society were like, yeah, that's totally rad, that's badass.
Yeah.
This gerbil is killing people.
It is pretty awesome, just this, the style, like whoever thought this up, of just like this adorable little fluffy yellow thing that's just capable of just annihilating. If it was reality, there'd be a lot of bloodshed and a lot of melting corpses, but...
Yeah, no, and that's what's cool about it. There's that fan theory where they think that when you're going through Pokemon Red and Blue and subsequent ones, it's right after a huge world war. Mm-hmm. And that's why even the Professor Oak has been studying for years. The reason this Pokedex is empty is he's sending you out to figure out which ones are still alive. Oh. And there are no real parents, like people of adult age in the game. It's mostly like young kids and elderly people, and there's gyms everywhere and hospitals everywhere. And then you have Lieutenant Surge say, like, electric Pokemon saved me in the war, and you wouldn't last a minute.
That's pretty awesome. It's really interesting when you can just kind of observe the universe in that game, because it really does leave a lot open to speculation. Which I guess, getting back to the handheld element of it, I think it was that creativity that definitely allowed it to be as successful with the limited graphics, and how a lot of older games kind of... were able to pull it off. Like, they had to have a lot of imagination, a lot of style, like, with the limitations. And you couldn't just have, like, these, lush, like, 1080p high-res graphics. You had to have, like, a character you could relate to. Or, like, yeah, and you can have that in the Pokemon. Like, I related to Psyduck because I was, like, the crazy goofball in school, And I definitely think that was basically how games were, from the furthest back I remember, because I'm not that old, is just from the NES era. But from the NES era up through the SNES era, that was basically gaming. Was you needed a lot of style, and you needed a lot of creativity, and you needed charismatic characters that you could just kind of fall in love with. And I think if you get into like contemporary handhelds, Nintendo's still doing that, and that's one thing that's still making Nintendo just, at least in the handheld market, just such a heavy hitter.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And that's going back to what you were saying about how they came up with this idea of Pokemon, and just, it was kind of a social experiment, because the creator of it, I wish I could pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try, he combined the idea of bug catching with fantasy monsters. And that's when he kind of was like, okay, well, if we separate these two, we can get people to interact, and like kids want to play each other. That's why there were 4 that you can only evolve by trading originally. Now there's dozens, and you have to do some really cool stuff. And that was kind of unseen, where like, okay, I can buy my Game Gear, which would last like 6 minutes on like 7 AA batteries.
Yeah, yeah.
And play by myself. But if I
Yeah.
get like the small pocket where I only have to buy 2 AA's, I could link up with my friends and battle them, and they can just evolve my Pokemon for me or give me special items that came later on. But it's kind of all still there rudimentary. So you combine that, and then you also, like, going back to what you said, we have the kind of collector's aspect. I have the Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, new 3DS XL, available at Gameplay. Not this, just regular ones.
Oh, okay.
You have this kind of appeal to, like, the Disney-esque branch,
Mhm.
where they have their own collector's value, everybody kind of wants something from them, and they have this timeless magic. Like, I still play Mario, like, 3, it's probably my favorite one, along with Super Mario World, and that's quite old.
Yeah, it was refined though. It was very precise.
Yeah.
And it was like one thing that I liked about that too. Once again, very basic graphics, but very responsive mechanics and very responsive controls. It was a very simple concept, but it forced you to really master it, especially as you progress through the levels. And that's another thing people kind of overlook is challenge. You can have very challenging games, very difficult games. And challenge difficulty, as long as it's fair, it becomes an addictive quality of gameplay, and just have very basic graphics. It's just all about coding and the precision of collision detecting in the environment.
We've seen that currently. Like, Battletoads essentially evolved into Dark Souls in terms of punishment and reward.
Oh god, yeah. See, I've never gotten to Dark Souls. I just don't think I'd have enough time for it. I think I would fail out of all my classes if I ever started playing a Dark Souls game.
Probably.
Yeah. And I'm sure many people have. So please write to us and tell us about how Dark Souls has ruined your life.
Leave us your favorite, Dark Souls memory of, like, I could have gone on a date, I could have passed that exam, I could have walked my dog or fed my dog, like Toby here, if I had only stopped playing Dark Souls.
And that's why my dog is still healthy and vibrant and looks healthy, is because I don't I don't play Dark Souls. And that's what it comes down to, is I care about my dogs too much to play Dark Souls.
Very much.
But yeah, no, that's
Or
true.
any game, that's just a good example to use.
I don't play video games.
I live them.
I collect them and I talk about them. You know what? I don't play anything. I just read about it on the internet and talk about it as if I do.
Yeah, that's what I do too.
Because you know what? I'm clever and I know how to conserve my time.
It's true, yeah.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
I should get a sarcasm sign.
A little meter. We'll edit that in later.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
a warning,
sarcasm
like
meter. There we go.
like a radiation beep.
He's doing it again. God. Time to switch channels.
And then, tracking back to how you can get innovative, like, in specific, I believe it's the one modeled after the vampire squid, which exists, and everybody should look into that and learn about it. Like, not from National Geographic, but just, from viable sources now. There's one that specifically evolves in Pokemon by just rotating the handheld.
Are you serious?
Once you get to a certain level, you have to rotate, and it was only possible once they added a gyroscope into the 3DSs.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I was wondering how to get that one too, and I was like, oh hey, all I had to do was read, which is another important trick to learn.
Well, there's a lot of little things, like the little icon that pops up when you, I don't know if I could put this up, but every time you bring up the game that's open, hold on, can't you, make it rotate by spinning the stylus? See? Bet you didn't know that.
I sort of did.
Oh, well...
Now we do. Now
we
for
do.
sure.
We've tested this on national YouTube. There you go, look at that.
Our big draw.
Yeah, no, they've always been really creative with little things like that. Leaving areas to explore. Like, look at some of the Super Mario games. You think the levels are so basic, but then you just replay them, and even
Well, look at what is it? I believe was it the Minish Cap or one of the ones they released on GBA. This fan had won his name in Nintendo Power. Those of you who are old enough to remember that.
Oh god.
It was a good era.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I remember.
I used to have that.
I actually had the free Mario 3 walkthrough that came with one once.
Oh, I remember. It was such a big deal when they released those.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was really cool. I would like to try to find more of those.
Too bad. They just for nostalgia's sake, I wish they'd make another one. Get the magazine running again.
I wish they'd do Club Nintendo again because they're supposed to revamp that, but we'll probably see that whenever they announce their new console.
Yeah. They're trying to save money, I think, on advertising right now.
Yeah, powering up.
Yeah, they're grinding.
Yeah, they're level grinding.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's and that kind of gets back to, let's compare that. So we were just talking about creativity, how it's such a big thing. You can have characters, you can create people, or cartoons, animations that people develop an attachment to. You can create very difficult, addicting gameplay styles based off of very fundamental principles, and we can compare that to, let's each of us kind of come up with one newer video game, I guess we could say next-gen video game, with impressive graphics that we feel maybe didn't do that as well. Like, if you can think of one.
I don't
And
really.
you don't have to bash the game, but just...
I'm not gonna. I try not to do that.
Yeah.
But I'll let you go first because I'm not really familiar with many games that are coming out now. Just because I'm so detached from that.
Well, yeah, same here. I haven't actually been following a lot of the PS4 and Xbox One releases. I've been really just interested in what's going on with the 3DS and the Vita. I'm still kind of like, I'm like a Vita like fanboy. Not a fanboy, but I'm just kind of rooting for the system just to see where it goes in like a year, if it's still around.
That's an issue for another
that's
another general discussion.
Yeah, but okay, one that I can come up with, and this is a game that I thought was solid, but definitely had more graphics than gameplay, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm not bashing it. I think
Fallout 4?
Okay. Is that out?
No.
Oh, I was like, I'm not living under a rock that's that thick, am I? No. It came out last year, and that was Killzone, the PS4 Killzone.
Shadowfall.
Yeah,
I never had a chance to
Shadowfall.
play that one at the time.
I had a PS4 back then, and I actually played it because it was on sale. I got it for like $16, and it was really kind of, the reviews weren't stunning, and I played it just to see what it was about. So visually, this game was just amazing. Like, probably at the time, the most visually impressive game I'd seen. And I was just like, oh my god, the PS4 is so awesome. And then it's just sort of, when you get to the gameplay mechanics, the game was to me, felt very dry. Like, there were so many places where you couldn't even, like, jump over a fence, and there were, like, areas that just seemed like they looked beautiful, but you just couldn't really access them in the map. And the gameplay just seemed very minimalistic for the...
Next gen.
Yeah.
Harbinger of Doom.
It wasn't a terrible game.
I've got one from around the same time frame.
Yeah. A game?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you got?
It was Rise, Son of Rome. I played on the opposite spectrum.
I've heard about that one, yeah.
Graphically, it looks beautiful. I mean, when you get down to it, it was kind of just like a tap A, tap X, do this or that. Microtransactions, which are, well, that's another topic for...
We might get into those
We might get into that today, yeah.
handhelds,
It was kind of the starting focal point for us anyway. Yeah, it was just too repetitive. I mean, the story was evolving, but just not to the extent it needed to. It just kind of kept, well, you go here and kill this, son of so-and-so.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of QuickTime events. There's some games that have pulled it off that I think have done really
Resident
well.
Evil 5 had the best QuickTime events of all time at the end.
Punching rocks.
Yeah, not that. That's a spoiler. That's like a real-time event, though. You have to you can stop and die.
I never played 5, like I only went up through 4, so I don't know how much of...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Am I missing out on, like... Okay. I am not worthy to be here right now. I'll stop the video, finish the game, and then come back and we'll
That's
start
fine.
the game.
We'll get into that later. We'll edit this part out.
No, no
This
worries.
segment will be
No, I think it's
filtered for
fine.
Patriots.
Well, yeah, I don't think you need to play every single video game that ever comes out to be passionate about games.
No.
And that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
We're coming up with these on the spot.
Yeah,
This
right.
is
This is, we were gonna write them down, but now we can,
We can just
what was
watch
that?
the
I
video.
can't read that. Yeah, we'll just go back and watch the
good.
video.
I can't write. I'm an immigrant.
Alright.
Oh, that's offensive, isn't it? It's okay because I am an immigrant, so I can say that.
And we won't tell you what ethnicity too. You have to guess. And
If you
guess
can
right,
guess, I'll send you a picture of my dog. Not me, just my dog.
yeah,
But yeah,
2 of them if it's a good day, and you can guess which region too.
yeah, my dogs are not region locked, so you can access the pictures from anywhere in the world. That's something that I was kind of thinking of that I really like about handhelds, is that, well, with the exception of the PlayStation Vita, which is, for a handheld, is very graphically powerful, a lot of next-gen games, like as soon as they come out with a new console, I feel like the majority of the new titles that come out are just tech demos. Because they're not bad games, but they really are designed to show off the hardware. And that's awesome, it's like they're visually stunning, it's like, wow, look where we're going. But I think games that are just tech demos, I don't think they're going to stand the test of time, and that's usually been the case with like that first year of launch titles.
Yeah, I
You get,
mean, look at like Killzone. you compare that to like Killzone, Rise, the Forzas hold up, but that's just because that's kind of a proprietary like tried
Halo.
and tested. Halo didn't launch. It did not launch, but Halo 1 will stand the test of time because that's what kind of catapulted that system forward.
Oh yeah, Halo is just like
Halo 1, and then Halo 3 was a little bit after the Xbox. I can't remember exactly. I think like a year. And then same thing with the Master Chief Collection. That one was like a year later. But even that was riddled with that's because they were trying to port over all of the multiplayer functions. They just couldn't do it at first. And I get it. You have 4 full multiplayer games. It's gonna be hard.
Yeah, it's good that they're trying. Like, it's definitely good. Like, you have to experiment, you have to try, and you have to fail. And it's just part of gaming. And, you know, when a new console launches...
Just like old school games, you know, you try to jump over something and then you get hit by a turtle.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or you...
A hammer. Yeah.
Oh, man, those are...
From a turtle in a cloud.
Games are so violent. That was a great soundtrack.
That was actually the death from Battletoads.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That was perfect. You couldn't have timed that better. Did you tell your friends, like, hey, right now, send me a text?
Be a street pass.
See, that's how, like, we are evil geniuses. We plan all this out from the beginning. But yeah, you don't really have that luxury with certain handheld devices. If you can't make something that can stand up graphically to a next-gen console, to like a stay-at-home console, you really got to focus more on the gameplay aspects of it. And that's one thing I think that one reason technical limitations can actually improve gameplay sometimes. Like, it's always great once you master a new system, you master the graphics of a new system, you just figure out what it can and can't do, and then you start making solid games. But until then, it's just really good to go back and focus on just the fundamentals we were talking about, like Super Mario 3 or Mario Bros.
Pokemon.
3. Yeah, Pokemon, stuff like that.
Train, run.
Yeah, and just creativity, I think, just sparks when you're limited with what you can do.
Well, yeah, I mean, because then you have like, okay, this is the end game. This is what we can do. How can we fit everything inside this box? Literally, because it's a cartridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're kind of pressed. Like that's what I liked about like Pokemon is everyone complains it's too similar, but if you look at it, there are incremental steps. Like there was battling and trading to evolve certain Pokemon in the first one. In Silver and Gold and Crystal, they added trading with items to evolve certain ones, or actually adding an item to send to your friends. So if you wanted to add like mail or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you're breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you could just write that in the letter, and then you know you'd never see them again after you gave them like a milk tank or like something. You know, and it was very heartfelt to be able to do that. And you know, I'll never forgive them. But once you go into like what was it, Ruby, Sapphire, I kind of skipped those ones. I played them again recently for the re-releases, and I feel like finally picked up beyond Black and White, and then Diamond and Pearl, but they basically stayed stagnant until X and Y, where they're like, okay, we'll add like S-tier evolutions, where one gets a Mega Evolution, that's all they get, it's like a one-shot, like that's your last chance to like beat Gyarados. You better use it. And it was cool, because right off the bat I found like Snorlax's evolution form. Anyone who knows how cool Snorlax is. You'd only be woken up by a flute.
Tell me more, like I'm fascinated right now.
And, they added all these things. They added the moving characters right. They announced all 3 Mega Evolutions for the old gen Pokemons, I guess like OG Pokemon or retrograde Pokemon. You pick your term. I'm trying to find like 3 or 4 that I like. Like the Babel Codex, that's for another day. And they're like, oh yeah, they're Charizard, Blastoise, Venusaur, they're all going to have like cool things you can transform into. Okay, second town, you got them. So you got 2 starters relatively quickly. So like me, I went Blastoise because, it's the superior one. It's a turtle with cannons on his back. You've got ice for leaf grass, and you've got everything else for fire. And, Skull Bash for like the electric rodents. And it was just kind of cool to be able to not have that. It's like a red and blue director's cut versus successor, because you have that ability to okay, I'm gonna travel through this. All feels kind of fresh. It was still kind of easy because it was very simple, but that was a good throwback. It's very simple, really easy to get into, but they added a lot of new concepts for the genre. Yeah,
it's always great when you can do that. I'm not against this. Like a lot of hardcore fans really do have a hard time when they kind of, I guess, quote unquote, water down a franchise like that to appeal to like a younger generation. It kind of is what it is, we as gamers now, like when I grew up in like the early 90s, I really didn't have that many things to distract me from a video game. As silly as this sounds, like I really could focus on a video game because I didn't have all these other things competing for my attention. And I think as a successful, if Nintendo wants to keep making Pokemon games, Super Mario games like accessible and selling, because let's face it, they're a business, and I have nothing against them trying to make money.
Yeah.
They really do need to take that into consideration of what are they competing against with the younger generation of gamers, and today there's a lot that they need to compete with. So I can kind of get why they go for, like, say, Super Mario 3D Land, like very short, basic levels. And then they also add that little, they do add, like, hardcore challenge modes for people that are just really hardcore about the game. Like, if, Super Mario 3D Land, there's the, the special worlds after you beat the main game? And those get, like, way harder. And, I think it's a good balance, and especially with Pokemon. Like, they might have...
Oh, they have the hardcore training things where people look for specific stats. They breed extensively. They go onto websites to like get like certain abilities, and there is that level of competition. Like say with Smash Brothers, which is very, very. I mean, for what it is, it's a very, very competitive game.
Yeah.
In the eyes of other fighting game players, it's not because it's very basic. You have like guard, dodge, and attack, and special attack, and that's not nearly as hard as like. Okay, I'm going to block, then roll into this, then counter break, and then I'm going to go into my Ultra Combo or X-Ray,
Yeah, because if you've ever played the ArcSys games, like BlazBlue, or, right now Guilty Gear. Right now I'm playing Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. It takes a good chunk of time just to get through the training tutorial. Because, like, there is a lot, like, you can just dedicate a day just to going through that thing again and again before you memorize all of it.
And again and again.
But yeah, simple mechanics aren't bad, because as soon as you really encourage the competition element of it, whether it's like Pokemon or Smash Brothers, people really do take advantage of every minute little gameplay feature they can find, if it gives them an advantage. And competition, I think, is great. Like, that's a great way to... have a game be taken more seriously. Even if just picking it up and playing it the first time might not be that challenging, competition really does force you to master it and go up against people that have spent just as much time trying to master it. So they've really done a good job with that, like with Smash Brothers especially.
It's the highest growing, like, just in terms of being viewed on Twitch, I believe, for the fighting game community. It's kind of resurfaced and resurged since they allowed Melee into EVO like 3 years ago now.
Oh yeah, well, because it's deceptively complicated once you actually compete against people.
Yeah.
Like, it's very skill-based. And then at the same time, Smash is probably one of the funnest fighting games to watch other people play.
Yeah, because, there's bright lights moving around. It all looks very simple.
It looks just like I don't know, chaos from like this over-the-top action movie, but then you've got like these cartoony kind of characters, and there's just so much going on, like explosions. I mean, it's... But, like, when you're playing it, you're just focused on, like, one thing at a time, but, like, it's actually one of those few games where, to me, I think it's really, really fun to watch other people play, even if I'm not playing it, so...
No, I agree. I'm the same way. I mean, I do compete in it, but not heavily enough like other people. I just kind of join and say, like, I'm gonna go play with Marth. And going back to the competition, like you said, if Nintendo wants to stay successful, that's what they were trying to do with the Wii U, which is still a good console, but not near to the caliber the GameCube was, which is still technically a failure, but can we look back, it's like one of the better consoles. I mean, I think it was the best console of that generation, but that's next week's topic.
So many.
Yeah, so many in one day. Premonitions, if you guys end up liking us, wanted to hear more stupid banter, and possibly more casting crew joining us as we recruit them into the rebellion.
Join our army of darkness.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. It's a tablet controller that you can play on your screen or off, or if you want to watch something else, you can play on the bottom screen most games. They were seeing the competition between, like, oh, okay, my cell phone's always out, or this is always out. Look at the DS, dual screen. There's two screens you can focus on and switch between, and that's why they tried. I think it was Zelda, the Phantom Hourglass. So, like, there was that era of, like, good games, but terrible games, because they forced you to use the stylus to maneuver and do all this stupid stuff. And, like,
it's very, I don't know, like, if
they were
like,
innovating where they could, And
they take risks, and I'm not gonna, hate on them for that. Like, they take a risk, and they might not pull it off the first time, but they're really paving a road for other people to follow.
Yeah.
And you always have to have one person that does take that risk, and I respect them for that.
Yeah, well, they've become like the Disney, everybody, like, has, oh, I remember playing that as a kid, or I remember watching Nightmare Before Christmas. I remember playing Ocarina of Time. I don't, because I didn't play it. But you have this ability to do that, like you said, take risks, like what they're doing with Pokemon Go, where it's like a completely mobile, like, Pokemon game. You scan something, you find your Pokemon, you throw a Pokeball, you might be able to buy a few with microtransactions because it's mobile. They just announced a new mobile game. I'll have to look into that next time.
Oh, yeah. I got nothing against that, because here's the thing, like, not everybody has a handheld. Not everyone, almost everyone's going to go out and buy a cell phone because it's a necessity. And you don't, like, cell phones, you can lease them, you can pay them off as part of your monthly bill, and people are going to have cell phones. They're just becoming very common. Not everyone, though, is going to, have extra money lying around or be as willing to go out and invest on, say, like, the newer Nintendo 3DS, like the new 3DS XL, or whatever new model of handheld they come out. It's a pricey thing, and I really have nothing against them trying to make quality games for, the cell phone market. They're just making it more accessible to other people. I don't try to idolize any of it. It's entertainment, it's fun. There's a lot of art that goes into it, and there's a lot of marketing that goes into it. But I think if they pull it off right, I think they'll just open it up to people that wouldn't have had access to Pokemon prior.
I mean, it's just that for people who grew up in that generation too, like, I'm rocking around and I'm finding Pokemon in real life. Like, this is ridiculous, and it's that VR future that we might see. But looking back to, like, the game, what is it, the N-Gage? I don't know if you remember that. It was like the cell phone that was like a mobile game system.
Jeez, yeah, I remember
that. If
that
Nintendo went that route, would you, like, consider picking one up? The Travel Boy, or like the Commune Box.
It's
shaped like a communion word.
For me, it just gets down to one feature, and that's the games. And if I see a solid game lineup on it, and if that was the only place for me to get those games, which Nintendo's very good about,
doing that.
Yeah, then I would, but then that also depends. If Nintendo does come out with something new like that, at this point, I want them to start coming up with new ideas.
Well, that's what's cool. Like, the supposed rumors, I'm not endorsing or talking and saying this is all fact.
Yeah.
With the NX, where it's supposed to be like a detachable, like, it's your controller for your main console, and then you detach a portion of it, and that's like your handheld, so you can travel around with it and do whatever you want, and have access to the same level of graphics, and then pop it back in, or going back to cartridges, which they kind of are with the 3DS.
Yeah.
Like, you're able to store, there's like a 2 terabyte micro SD card now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're able to store that much, so why not? Like, for a relative, I mean, how much is like a 4 gig? A 4 gig SD card is probably $13 now.
Oh yeah, I just bought one for the camera that I'm recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it works.
They're cheap,
it works. Wherever you bought it from.
Look at that.
Easy Collectibles 91.
Yeah.
On eBay.
Well, getting into tech though, the one thing I think that kind of might have hurt the Wii U, besides the name of it, I think, and that's my opinion, the Wii U controller, like I don't know, like, is there a specific name for, like, the actual Wii U controller?
That is the Wii U.
It's the Wii U.
That is the Wii U.
Yeah,
That's
basically,
yeah.
It wasn't necessary in every game. And
that was the hardest part they had.
And I think a lot of games really just played better with a normal controller. And this is one of the things that kind of deterred me from it is I wanted one, but I was really pissed off about A, the price point, and B, the fact that I really wish that they wouldn't force me to buy this thing that I may or may not want to use, like this extra piece of hardware. There's plenty of games that played really great on the Wii U that just used, the Wii U Pro controller.
Well, I mean, look what they did with Smash Bros. They re-released the GameCube controller.
Yeah, because the GameCube controller is amazing.
It's the best one, yeah.
That thing, I love that. I have huge hands, and I always complain about, handhelds having, ergonomics that kind of, don't really suit me. But for some reason, the GameCube controller, as tiny as that thing was, just fit in my hands, perfectly. I never complained about it. Oh, no way. What have we here? Oh, look at that. See,
they would have it.
This thing is, ergonomically, as small as this is, this thing fits so well into my hands, and it was just so well thought out. And, I'm glad they re-released this. But that's what I'm saying is, if I have the choice between playing with that or, that giant iPad-looking device, I'm going to choose that. And that's the one thing I didn't like about the Wii U is they kind of forced you to buy this hardware that you might not have ended up using. And if they kind of do the same thing with the new console, the NX, I think that may or may not help them out because I think people are going to have the same complaint, hey, I'd like to spend more and not get the handheld version of it if the games play exactly the same. Or can I spend less and just get the handheld version of it? So I think if they bundle them together, assuming they don't provide dramatic improvements to the gameplay, I think people are going to be a little upset about that because they're just going to feel like they're spending more for something they may or may not want. Like when Xbox One bundled,
the Kinect.
the Kinect with the Xbox
Yeah.
One. That was the number one reason I didn't get one.
Yeah.
I don't want to Kinect. Like, it just had no appeal to me.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I never had one, so it was pretty cool when I was able to get that. And I was like, well, I can turn off my TV and like I can pause this, or I can do that, or I can just say redeem a code and just scan it instead of having to type it out. Like,
oh, I didn't even realize. Yeah, they probably came up with like.
yeah, there were a
other
number of
season,
things,
yeah.
and I mean, they still are discounting them to an extent. But yeah, that was really bad when they chose to do that. I mean, I get it. You want everybody to have like, and that's why I actually chose them first, because they went with a futuristic, a next gen experience instead of just making something look prettier. If I wanted something to look prettier, I just spend money on a PC every year to buy a new graphics card.
Yeah, that's true.
And like I just, like you said, I wanted innovation. I wanted to be able to like, okay, well, move to the left squad or reload like they did with Mass Effect. And I mean, it's not there 100%,
Mhm.
but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess we were talking about this earlier. When you get into tech, you always have to have like that first person that takes the risk,
Yeah.
and they may or may not get it. And even if they mess up, whether we realize it or not, they're still paving a road for future.
They'll be back with backwards compatibility.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That was wonderful. That was like, I think that was like almost like an apology. Like, but I think it was a great idea.
It was a good show to say like, hey, we're actually listening to what people want.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
like, you know, okay, well, you know, we just don't have somebody who wants to buy Zynga being in charge of this project, which I still don't know how he's able to pull that off. And it's like, okay, well, this is the next level of like, they were right about that. It is the next level of like how we play games. Like going into the technical limitations of like a 3DS, so it has DLC available to it, but not to the extent of like we're adding a new chapter to this game.
Yeah.
Or like same with the Vita. I think there are still like chapter DLCs for certain games, but like not to a whole like alternate experience.
Mhm.
Whereas you can spend like $6 to get a different skin, which you can't with Smash Bros. Now. I have to retract that, but not to that same massive level where it's like, okay, we'll get a random pack of this and a random pack of that for $5 before you know it, you spent like, you know, cigarette money or, you know, book money. That's probably more.
You guys should buy books.
Yeah, buy books. Please buy books. Lamb is a great one along with Rant.
And actually buy the manga if you're like a fan of anime. That's the only way you can really support the anime itself is by buying the manga.
Yeah.
Because like anime is all bootlegged
What
online.
happened to Tokyo Ghoul anyway?
Oh really?
Oh.
No, that was a
Didn't
great
it,
anime.
Didn't it switch like creators and they changed like how the story played out or something like that?
I saw
Manga was really good.
the anime. I liked it because it was dark
It's
and
as good as
violent.
Blue Girl.
But I've never seen Blue Girl.
Okay, well, neither have I.
Okay, thank God for that. Okay. Oh yeah, so that was basically the. Hey, you guys. No. Hey, Toby. Getting back to
The topics at hand.
topics at hand. Puppy cam.
The dog does exist. We
It
weren't
is
lying,
real.
yeah.
Look, I mean, I need to teach my dog to play video games because that's how you generate views.
Yeah.
Like, fuck our opinions. If I could just teach this thing to play Smash Brothers, like, this channel would just be booming. Like, we wouldn't have to try at all.
Kids
Just-
mittens.
Yeah. No, our second main limitation we're talking about is internet connectivity. Now, obviously, handhelds have access to Wi-Fi, but I think the designers limit how much they want to incorporate DLC into handheld games because they realize that ultimately these are portable devices and they're designed so that you can take them anywhere with you. So you can't really put out a game that has to be online at all times. And as a result of that, I think they moderate the DLC, I think, for the handhelds. Like, you still have plenty of it.
Oh yeah, they're still like there, and that's what's cool is like we were talking about like Nintendo. They're kind of the bastion for indie games, aside from PC. But that's I'm not gonna get into that. Neither should we, since the focus on handhelds today.
Yeah.
Nintendo especially, like they are really good at like there's dozens of indie, more than I'd ever thought I'd see on a on a handheld, like just indie game, and I bought a few. Like Cave Story is a great example. Let's see if I can just pull them up. I should be able to.
Well, Cave Story, we just looked this up. It was originally a indie
PC
game.
yeah.
That started out on PC, and that was really cool that Nintendo took that because I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Well, you have Steam World Dig and like Azure Strike or Gunvolt, Mighty Number 9, whenever that comes out. It's not really an indie game; it's Kickstarter-esque. Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight's another great one.
Oh yeah.
Another good example of like the little train that could and did, and then rewards everybody with free DLC.
The Binding of Isaac.
That was I still need to play that. I'm gonna buy that when I get home.
That is a very addicting game, and that's great. Like it's available on all platforms, but I really respect. I think it's great that you get some of the darker, grittier, more mature themed indie games on Nintendo, Because
they originally weren't going to let it play.
Really?
Like,
Oh, I can
originally
see
they
that.
said that he tweeted, I think, a few years right when it had come out. He was like, "Oh, Nintendo said it's not it's not within the same like age parameters they want, or something
yeah.
along that's a little too dark for them right now." And he's like, "LOL." Now look at it. I saw it on there. I was like, "Oh, hey, I can play this."
Because that's a very dark, like incredibly mature themed game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and that's going back to what we were saying earlier. Nintendo's forged all these bonds with like Capcom, Square Enix, just from when they were the NES, and all these games by default were on that system. I mean, you had some that were on both, I guess. And then you see the real split with like Sony when like Resident Evil 2 was on 64 and like Resident Evil 1 was on. I mean, they were on both consoles, PS1 and N64. But it's cool they've been able to pull back into that. Like, yeah, Dream Drop Distance, a continuation for a very popular series known as Kingdom Hearts, for those who didn't know. On the 3DS.
Which you're like, you love Kingdom Hearts.
We're not supposed to talk about that yet.
Okay. For another day.
I ventured forward into the past just to help out with this podcast.
If we talk about Kingdom Hearts, I mean, I just from what you talk, for those of you that don't know, this man is living the dream. Like, this man works at a video game store, and when I come visit him, it's just like, hey, you should check out that Kingdom Hearts game. Like, you really like the series, and if we ever do a Kingdom Hearts episode, it'd have to be like a 3-part something.
17, like the game.
We'd have to recharge
catalog.
we'd have to recharge my battery like 5 times to
Right.
finish it, you know. But yeah, no. But yeah, getting back to like some of the lesser known indie titles that you see become available.
It's just really good that they were able to pull up on that. Like, going back to Nintendo has something for everybody. Look back at the GameCube. They had the Resident Evil series, which was kind of exclusive for the remakes on that system. You had Tales from Symphonia, Sanity's Requiem.
Mhm.
I think it was Eternal Darkness. You had Resident Evil 4.
I remember Eternal Darkness. I love that game. Yeah.
I want to play that one still. You had Smash Bros, probably the pinnacle of that series. Fire Emblem. They had. I could just keep going and going, and then it's kind of resurged with the 3DS again. You have Fire Emblem Awakening, which was kind of that team's last, like, okay, we're going to try all these things, and if we fail, Nintendo already said we're canceled, and now they've been welcomed back with open arms.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you have Resident Evil Revelations, which started out there and was ported over the other ones, which was really good. It was a nice throwback to Resident Evil 1. Atmosphere was great. We'll probably do some sort of Let's Play on that, or if anybody has any good comments to add about that, or even negative ones, feel free, because we don't care.
Nah.
Yeah.
We got nothing to lose.
I don't care. Just like Harrison Ford said. Or Bakura, whichever you prefer. if you're not old enough to remember Harrison Ford saying that. And what else we have? We have The Binding of Isaac, we have Shovel Knight, wealth of old. We just want GBA games, Nintendo. If you guys skim through this to like filter using the Patriot system, please just give us Game Boy Advance games. Like, that's all we need. You have it on the Wii U and nobody's buying that. Just
Oh my god, that's the one thing that I was really bummed out about the eShop. Getting back into like downloads and stuff for the 3DS. I was really bummed out. Like, okay, yeah, not that many Game Boy Advance games, and no Super Nintendo games.
to like 5, yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're trying to make it exclusive to a console you really want to sell. It did do very well when Smash Brothers came out. Can you tell I like that game?
Yeah.
When that came out, as someone who, I think Arthur said I work in the video game industry. I don't, because I wouldn't endorse something that I work at. But when that came out, you saw these numbers just jump again and again and again, and like everybody wanted a Wii U. Everybody wanted to buy GameCube packs. Everybody wanted to buy GameCube controllers again. And it was cool. It was like Christmas all over again, like Batman Returns. But please, like, allow us to buy the old ones. Like, I want to play Earthbound on this, but I got Citizens of Earth, which is another cool looking game.
Yeah, that's one I want to try out.
It's super cool. We can. Oh, I know I can't share these things with you because Nintendo's weird like that sometimes. But yeah, it's the perfect platform. Like I have Fire Emblem, Sacred Stone, which is the best Fire Emblem game. It was the severity of how I lived with that one. And all the other ones they got with the Ambassador program, but like that shows they can be ran. They are being emulated. And it's like, well, that's just emulation. Well, that's what all of them are if they're downloadable.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, all re-releases.
They're all re-releases. It's cool because I think there was a tweet. I really have to remember these guys' names before I come on, but I'm not going to try to pronounce it.
No, that's fine. I mean, we're just,
we're just spitballing here.
Conversation. Very open-ended.
Where he basically said, I believe his team is in charge of porting over a majority of the old Virtual Boy consoles like that, and he said, hey, don't expect any more of these classics because they're moving on to the newer classics. And I guess newer classics would entails technically like Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance, knock on wood. So hopefully we'll see that back. I mean, I will buy like every Fire Emblem that was out there. Probably because they're all like 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's where they got their start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it kind of evolved. And
Well,
tale as old as time.
Game Boy Advance games are amazing. Like, there's still people that'll go out, buy the GameCube, and then get like the Game Boy Advance
Player.
port for it, just so that they can play them
Mhm.
on the big screen. They're really solid games, and yeah, it'd be great if we can get them on the more of them on the 3DS. But
We'll see.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, there's just so many things that go into, I guess, marketing for any company, especially Nintendo. Obviously, they're the things I want, and it's great to like speak out and say I want them.
Yeah.
But they'll get to them when they can, I guess.
Or
if
when they
decide.
please.
Yeah.
It's like Disneyland, we'll do it when we want to do it,
Yeah.
and it'll probably be cool. But
Yeah, so here's hoping.
yeah.
But how do you feel about DLC in general? Because like we can compare how it's slightly different between the handheld market and what you have in maybe like the home console market.
I actually really like DLC, and I
Mhm.
know this sounds crazy to everybody who's like, they released something too early, and let me get into this. I like DLC when it's used to illustrate the point of, our team really wanted to do this, but we just didn't have time.
Okay, yeah.
And then now we can add that, like, say, Fallout 3, which had some of the best DLC I've ever played, where it was just like chapter after chapter of like really good content. And you can tell these are all ideas that wouldn't just like, why are we going to throw this in there? That's stupid, or like, that's too much of a risk. And a lot of these upstart companies, that's true. But then you have, going back to what I said, like Mass Effect 3, Battlefield 4, FIFA. FIFA was the worst one because they bragged about some guy spending like thousands on it. Where you bought stupid random packs to get unlock items. And it wasn't like in-game currency. Well, you could use in-game currency, but people were spending a good amount of money. I bought one or two, I'm not going to lie. Because I had access to like Microsoft funds at that point. But that's what I hate. I hate the microtransaction just BS that's out there. If it's like a random, like, okay, well, this is a DLC chapter we didn't get into, or like, I think Assassin's Creed 2 kind of borderlined it for me, because there's one sequence where you're about to start up, I think it was 13 or 14, because his memory corrupted, and it skips forward to a different one, and then they use that as DLC, because they finally thought of a way to incorporate that time frame.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I like to say that. I mean, who knows, they could have just been holding out.
Mm-hmm.
But that was really creative to me. Same thing with Shovel Knight's DLC. It's free, I believe, for people who bought it within a certain time frame, but you're getting entirely separate campaigns, 3 of them, just for backing them up.
Yeah.
And that's really cool that they can do that. Like, or I think Star Wars had some pretty interesting ones with Force Unleashed 1, where you went off and you had the alternate bad ending, where you ended up just being a total killer or assassin, and you had to go find Luke, and you had to go find this, and that was cool for like $7. Like, you could tell, like, there's probably no way this would ever surface, but it still felt cool to begin with.
Yeah.
So I don't mind when it's executed instead of like realizing the developer's dream, because it's just like when you create a book, or when you're like telling a story to like some sort of child, or making bad Christmas presents out of dinosaur bone. You just have to execute it correctly. What are your thoughts on it?
I think you had a fucked up childhood, man.
Probably.
Yeah. No, well, I'm going to say this over and over, and this is my opinion for just about everything in the universe. It's a double-sided sword.
Yeah.
A
lightsaber.
Yes.
It hurts you.
Well, a lightsaber is actually 360 degrees.
That's true.
Of
pain.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 360 degrees if you're looking at it from a two-dimensional plane down, but then there's technically more if you add the if you just have it on an XY grid, but if you add the Z grid, you technically have another sphere on top for the top of the lightsaber.
Correct. That's why they have to have that round light around it.
Yeah. So, getting away from lightsabers and math.
Nobody likes math.
Yeah, fuck math. Like basically, like anything, it's a double-sided sword. So people can use it to either make better art, or they can use it as an excuse to not try as hard, or to make more money, or to rush a product. And you do have that luxury now of rushing a product. Recent kind of like bit of news was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. The Day 1 DLC was twice the size of the actual content on the disc, just because the content of the disc was unplayable. So you can
update, yeah.
Yeah, you can have that, but then you can have the polar opposite where, okay, one of my favorite games with DLC was Dragon Age Origins, and I love that.
That's a good example.
One of my favorite RPGs ever. I love that game, and they had a lot of free DLC where you get to go out, like you said, on like extra stories and learn more about the characters. There's one where you got like this giant, it's like a golem, it's like this...
I was about to bring that up, too.
Yeah.
Shale?
Yeah.
Yeah, Shale.
Yeah, and like, just as free DLC, you can get this amazing, just badass addition to your party. and you have to go through like this extra story, and I loved it. I thought that was fun. But with handhelds, I think they are very moderate about DLC. Even though you have DLC on handhelds, I haven't really seen a handheld game that requires a day one patch.
No.
And I think it's just because they acknowledge they don't have that luxury yet. Handhelds, even though when you're at home they have Wi-Fi, they're not designed to be connected to the internet at all times, as of yet.
Yeah, as of yet.
Yeah, because like there's still things that like you give like, if you're me and I visit my mom or my grandma, like I'll take one of my handhelds, just so I can play that while my grandma watches like Russian soap operas, or whatever, and it's like quality.
Let's answer their question from earlier. Now they're gonna get free pictures of your dog.
I'm not technically Russian though.
Okay, there we go.
They just watch.
That was to
Russian
throw
soap
you
operas.
guys off. That was a trick.
Yeah.
I had to erase his mind and my mind as well.
We're here to
Yeah.
expand your consciousnness, and not be stupid hippies at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are not
Double-sided sword.
Double. I think that should be the name of the channel, the Double-Sided Sword. That's a terrible name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll think of it. That's coming.
But yeah,
Sure as God's vengeance.
what you said earlier was really interesting with if Nintendo released a handheld that was basically a cell phone, like the what was that other one you were talking?
N-Gage?
Yeah, like the N-Gage.
With a PSP No?
Yeah, see, that's something I'm worried about because of that. If you have constant access to the internet, I think you're opening up the floodgates to where maybe people are going to realize they're capable of releasing unfinished products. And that's one thing I'm worried about. One reason I love handhelds is basically they incorporate a lot of the gameplay styles and the console features of consoles from like the NES and the SNES era, and even like PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2, because they still didn't have, by the time you got to the PS2, you were online, you started getting multiplayer popularity, but like the DLC culture wasn't nearly as prevalent as it
Oh,
is
no,
now.
that didn't really take off until like Star Wars Battlefront on the Xbox.
Oh,
The second one where they added like a Saws Ventress and like a few other people.
that is fascinating to know, actually. That's
Yeah.
awesome, yeah.
That's when they started experimenting with it. I think those people had like free live up until like a while ago, the first testers of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, they got like a nice little card. And it's interesting how they tried to market it as like an actual lifestyle. Like they had, for those of you who are old enough to remember, they had a card. It was kind of like, it looked like a credit card where you got like discounts at McDonald's or other places just for being an Xbox Live member.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember that, well, because I never had an Xbox. I just had the 360, but
Yeah, it was for the 360 when it first came out. That was
Oh.
like the Xbox Live. Thank you, blah blah blah. I'm trying. If anyone has one, send us a picture. Send one in so we're actually gonna have decorations up next time. More so because I didn't bring my cool like collectible stuff, which probably isn't cool. It'll just make people envious that I have like Zelda things that
I think it's cool.
never played the game.
I love Zelda.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I like his sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always root for him when he's saving the princess. I don't know what her name is, though.
Yeah.
It's that one chick.
Peach.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think it's Daisy or something. That's another topic. Saving Private Ryan. Finding Zelda.
Whoa, you think that's what it's based off of?
I don't know.
Well, no, Zelda came first.
Yeah.
You think that's what Saving Private Ryan is
Most
based off
probably
of? Was Zelda.
Maybe, I don't know. That's an interesting topic, yeah. You're finding the last of like these sages. Spoiler alert for one game, I'm not gonna tell you which one. And that makes sense. How many people were in Saving Private Ryan? Because if there were 8 people in that group, there were 8 bosses in Mega Man and in Mario before you got to the final boss, which would be the big war. And then you'd have to go and rescue all of them by taking them out and taking their powers. So you're carrying, because they all die in Saving Private Ryan, right? Don't they all systematically die?
Well, yeah. For anyone that hasn't seen the movie, except for Ryan.
Yeah, pretty much. So if you have that, and if you think about it, like he carries the memories of his friends. Mega Man does the same thing with his old friends because he takes all of their weapons.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah. So what you're getting at though is that Bowser is like symbolic for neo-Nazi Germany.
Or just war in general, strife of any sort, because it's he just kind of takes shape again. And, he's useful too because he's perpetually there. But there are some games like Inside Story and some other one too, probably where like RPG, Mario RPG, where he was like a good supporting character. And that's
so true. Yeah.
But that's another philosophical discussion for if John Chan ever joins us, our resident professor. Should have been here today. I wish he was still alive. Anyway, going back to
Something about video games.
the original topic.
Yeah, no, I'm skeptical with DLC. I think it's one of those things where it's just like the cell phone market, like if you're making things easier, like I'm not a big fan of most cell phone games, but people make a lot of money off of them because they're convenient, they're accessible, they're just like a fun, mind-numbing way to pass time. And ultimately, regardless of like what console you get into, I think like people that like get into like collecting video game consoles and like really getting into video games and like tearing them apart and talking about them on the internet, I think not everyone really cares about like the art of like making a video game or like what games mean to us. And I think a lot of people are just going to go buy like a console because it's cool, it's like the new thing. And if you sell them a bunch of DLC, a bunch of like crappy half-assed content, if you tell them like, hey, this is cool, if you get like Jamie Foxx to like back your stuff, which I think he was doing for like Dragon Age Inquisition.
I think so too.
Yeah. Then like people are gonna be like, oh, this is cool, they'll buy it. So that's what I'm worried about is like I'd like to think the gaming community is gonna speak up enough to say like, we're cool with DLC, we just don't want shit. But I just don't think that's going to be a big enough chunk of people.
Well, it's also, I think, going back to that, like, we saw another review, which I wish I could take credit for this, but I won't. There is a large generation of kids that has never played the original Mario, and probably never will. So Mario Maker, Super Mario Galaxy, those are going to be their intro ones. They're going to be hooked. It's like magic them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary to think it's the same way with The Simpsons. There are a large group of people who will never watch like the first 7 seasons, and that's very sad. And you probably should. Please, all of you do that.
Oh yeah.
I'll get to those references later. I'm refraining right now.
I haven't actually seen anything past those.
Yeah, I can memorize. I have like up to episode 300 memorized.
Yeah.
And after that, it just kind of tanks. It just kind of tanks. Like I remember too. I was like, I don't remember this episode. I was like, okay, it's coming. The end is coming.
Oh god, yeah.
And yeah. So with our generation, yeah, we're used to like. One thing I'm not gonna say how old I am. We're used to having whole complete games, whether they were just bad from the start or just phenomenal or okay, but they were still whole.
Yeah.
As we get further away from that, we're going to have a generation that's used to like, oh, I can just buy this, or I can just play this, or like, they don't have the ability to focus on that. And that's why Nintendo was trying to do going back to the dual screen and like tablet, with everything vying for your attention. Because I've always done both with ADHD. I'll have a movie on and I'll play on my Game Boy, and that's that. Or I'll have music on in the background, like, Good Apollo, or I'm beating Resident Evil 4, and then, forever whenever I think of that, I'll think of Resident Evil 4, or vice versa.
That's an interesting album to actually listen to while playing Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, if you think about it.
We'll have another episode about Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah, that's coming. I still want my limited edition album. I still have not received that. I ordered it like when they first announced it. I can only hope they're just taking extra time because I have the golden ticket waiting for me.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I know, right? That's some people like, I was upset, but I guess I can't be.
No, I'm excited.
So that's what I'm just like worried about is like, as like you said, a lot of people today, they don't know how to articulate. Like, I've worked in retail before, and it's like you get people who are like, oh well, like, or the best ones like, do you need help finding anything? No, I'm all right. I guess I'm okay. Like, don't worry about it. Oh, hey, do you have this? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, hey, what are you playing right now? I don't know. Or this game is bad. Why is it bad? Like, it's because it's bad. Oh, did you find it bad because you didn't like the camera angle? Is the combat system crappy? Was the storyline not original? Or like, it was bad. I mean, it's cool. Like, everyone obviously is entitled to their own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you think of mine. You shouldn't care what I think of yours. But if you're going to have a preference for something or a dislike, I feel like you really have to, like you mentioned earlier, I'm going to read about it and pretend like I played it.
Yeah.
It's like this game, it got an 87 on Metacritic. Okay. Well, did you play it? No. Oh, because look at the reviews. You got an 87. This guy said it was like a 1 out of 5 because Dante's hair was not white to begin with. Like come on.
Well, I guess, honestly, there are a lot of games that I really love lately that have done, like, really average on Metacritic, or in general. Like, I can name a couple.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, how many of us are truly extraordinary? Me, you, maybe the people who are watching. Probably, actually all the people that are watching, because, you guys are winners.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why you're watching us.
Yeah. 2 guides and 2 pups and some handhelds.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Makes for a fun evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do homework.
Just listen to us. But, yeah, I guess...
Going back to average ratings.
Yeah, average ratings, I guess. They're so subjective because I think it goes back to numbers, and you should always address the niche or the target audience, I think, when you're making a review. Ideally, that's what you should do. That's my opinion. Because, okay, there are some games that I think overall are just amazing, no matter what. But then there are other games that I think they're great, but they might really just appeal to certain people. One game that I was talking about was Soul Hackers on the 3DS. You've seen me play it. I love it. I really like that game a lot, but it's gotten very average reviews by most people, and it's just so bizarre and abstract. But for me, I look at it like I love the cyberpunk theme. I love hacking movies. I love anything that has to do with demons, and it's just like just a mix-up of all these themes and like styles from video games and movies that I love. And it has a really solid turn-based, Shimigami Tensei combat system. Just like anywhere else. So it has a lot of the stuff I like. It's just very abstract. Like, it might not appeal to people that want something that makes sense, so...
well, it also goes down to, like, cultural barriers,
That's true.
I feel like it's not as prevalent in ours. But, I mean, we absorb other cultures anyway, so... It's the beauty of America. We're a melting pot.
Yeah, this is interesting. Getting into cultures. Because we were talking about handhelds, tech limitations... Now, lifestyle, also something we didn't really mention. Like, a person's lifestyle and the lifestyle of the market that you're trying to sell to can influence the types of games you make. And that's the perfect example is Japanese handhelds, because they're much more popular in Japan. I think you were talking about this earlier. Just because of, like, the fast-paced lifestyle that people have there, it's totally cool to, like, get some downtime by playing, like, Pokemon or, like, Yokai Watch on the train,
Yeah, exactly. That's the key word. They're on a train. It's not like us where we have cars and we're driving ourselves. Like, they are there. I'm not saying it's technologically deficient in that way, but if you look at, like, any movie, which we'll use as a credible source, which you should always do when comparing culture, they're a lot more reliant on public transportation. What do you do there? You can stare at the person throwing up across from you, or you can play your Game Boy. I choose to do the latter. I chose Rapture. And that's but whereas here, like, you'll play as a kid, and then, like, you'll keep playing, and hopefully you'll keep playing because you want to make morally good choices in life, and, read a lot.
Yeah, well, I think another cool topic for a future video is just balancing out video games with your life.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah.
Sure is God's vengeance.
There you go. But yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of things, like factors that just change the gameplay of a video game. Whether you talk about tech limitations, your limitation, or whether you're constantly connected to the internet or not connected to the internet at all times, or the lifestyle of the people there. Like, best example being Japan. And the cool thing is like, they can make handheld games that, like, are playable in short bursts, but still maintain really high quality of the game. It's a valid game. I'm not trying to bash cell phone games, but I kind of am. It's not like a cell phone game where you play it just to pass time, and there's really not a whole lot of gameplay substance to it.
I believe that's what Adam Celester was talking about.
Okay.
Like, your 3DS, your DS, your PSP, whatever you want. PSP was cool too. It had like 6 good games, but it was still a really fun console. Here it is. Look.
I have one. I like the PSP.
I did too.
I can talk. The main thing for this is like a very nostalgic era of my life, but that's for another day.
Yeah, it's when we're looking back in sadness.
As our channel starts to fail.
Yeah. Where did we go wrong? We should have talked about this.
We can start relying on just pity.
Yeah.
Like getting people to pity us in our shitty lives.
I can no longer feed my dogs.
Yeah.
Lotus. Yeah, you're waiting, in a gown to talk to your doctor about, like, anything that ails you. You're not going to pull out your DS and start playing. You're going to go on your phone and play Tentacle Wars for a little bit. Or, like, Farmville, is that on the phone now? I don't know. Clash of Clans, you're going to play these big ones, and, like, you're going to take 2 minutes to do something, and then, like, okay, well, I'm going to find out the good news, because everyone should hopefully have good news when you go to the doctors.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I was playing, there's this really cool social link in Persona 4 Golden, where you basically get to sleep with, like, this really slutty nurse. And I was just thinking about, like, man, why has that not happened to me yet? And it's probably because
you're doing the social link.
Because I'm spending time playing Persona 4 Golden instead of visiting nurses.
Well, it's Halloween tonight, There aren't many of them around.
And it is Long Beach. I'm sure there's one or few of them stumbling down the street.
Vader. There's one right there. You might get arrested if you talk to the wrong one, but
Yeah, the cool thing about is, like, we can just people watch from, like, my apartment.
Yeah, this is actually a studio, but if it were an apartment, we'd be much. It's a very high production.
Yeah, it does the job. But yeah, well, okay.
Technically, it is a studio.
It is a studio. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Just tell people how minimalistic I am. It's
Cost
okay.
effective.
You know what? It's okay. I'm artistic. Yeah.
It's just
But yeah, no, I love how like the handhelds can create really good games based off of like catering to that type of lifestyle. And the best one I can think of, this is my personal example, is Link Between Worlds
okay.
for Legend of Zelda. Because if you look at that game, it's just brilliant. There's such an amazing world to explore. It's so open-ended. The dungeons are... I think that game is like more cerebral than it is action-packed. Like it's more of a... To me, I think it's more of a puzzler than an action game.
We'll get into that right now. I'm glad you brought that one up.
Yeah, but just look at like the structure of the dungeons, and I think they did this on purpose. You can go into a dungeon... My dog is stuck.
Anyway, continue with he's earned his fate.
I wonder if he's still gonna be there by the time we're done with the channel.
Hopefully.
He's like stuck between my guitar amp and my bench, or like my coffee table. Anyway, you can go into a dungeon. The dungeons could be lengthy depending on how long it took you to figure out like the puzzle.
Yeah.
But there's always a halfway point. There's a halfway point where you unlock a certain area. You get to teleport back to the start of the dungeon, go outside and save, and then pick it up for another day. And it was just these very small portions, like you could portion it out. And I actually beat the majority of that game just by taking study breaks. Like
nice.
I'd play for like 30 minutes at a time, like maybe get through a dungeon or half a dungeon and just save and then go next time, like explore the world a little bit. And I think they really did a really good job with that model, where you could pick it up and play in short increments or long increments, either or. But the quality of the gameplay didn't suffer at all.
Well, that's actually the first Zelda game I beat. I know, right? Because I've had every Zelda 3DS that's come out.
I think everyone has like their own like experiences, like games that they've clung to.
I mean that's kind of the crucial one where like it's kind of like my friend. We never played Mass Effect, and every time people would bring that up, be like, "You never played?" He's like, "No."
I've never played Mass Effect.
Yeah. And then like same thing with like Zelda. It's like, "Oh, I love Ocarina of Time." That was like the best game ever. It's like, man, you didn't play Metal Gear Solid, did you, as a kid?
Yeah.
And then like and it's that Disney magic appeal. Like I respect it. I just lost my data because my old coworker sold it.
What?
Yeah, it's a long story. I lost my data on like the Shadow Temple, so I was almost done. I was really invested. I was having fun. I was trying to pick up and play, and then I was just frustrated after that because I got it again. I still have it, even though it's ridiculously expensive now. You can always buy it. That's another topic. When I finally got Link Between Worlds, I was taking care of a sick family member at that point, so I was away from my Xbox. I was living less than modestly, which was still cool because it was like it's like riding the rails, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Except I was still in the same area and working and doing cool things. But just picking up and playing that every so often, I was like, okay, this is probably the best Zelda that's come out, next to Twilight Princess, which was the best one. Because it wasn't bound by a linear function. You could go in whatever direction you wanted. They were finally doing the open world thing they needed to do, and that's what I hate about like certain games. Is like, I love Kingdom Hearts. The cool thing about it is you can go up, or you can go down, or you can go straight. You don't have to go in a certain pattern for the worlds.
Yeah.
And like same thing with like Metal Gear Solid. Like I can attach Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm going through any mission I want in whatever order I want, or Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I know I'm naming all the big holiday titles. I'm going in whatever direction I want, just doing minimal like side quest things. And I'm cool with that.
I think it definitely appeals to people that just maybe
they want freedom. They want the pirate life.
Yeah.
That's why I like Assassin's Creed 4.
Yeah, definitely. I need to play that.
That's a great one.
That
That's probably the best one since the 2 trilogy. Yes, you can count all 3 parts of 2 as one.
In case you didn't know.
Yeah, in case it's the same thing I say about Star Wars. Like when people are like, "I love Star Wars, but I hate the first few films." It's like, or not the first few, I guess the prequels.
Yeah, the prequels.
It's like, if you love Star Wars, you love Star Wars. You appreciate all of them.
Jar Jar
I had
was
nothing like
against
the best example of any living creature bonded with the Force because he was like a child, like many religions say you have to be. He was fun-loving. He was happy. He was easily distressed, but he never came across any harm. He always had luck, and that was the Force working through him. because he was just living as a peaceful being.
Everyone hated on Jar Jar. I actually, like, when I was a kid, I loved Jar Jar Binks.
That's
He was,
what they
like,
wanted.
hilarious. Yeah.
And no, and like that's the thing is, it's like, okay, well, you guys didn't catch this example. And don't get me wrong, if you don't like Jar Jar, that's fine. You don't have to be cool with him. I personally think Darth Maul redefined lightsaber fighting at that point.
That was amazing. Okay, you cannot
Yeah, I
that last
really
scene.
wish
That was
I could.
amazing.
I really wish I could go back in time to when I was younger and actually pay attention to when people like he pulled out one blade and then the other blade and everyone goes, oh shit, he's got two lightsabers. Like,
I remember
just
that.
loses
That
it.
just blew people's minds.
Yeah, ding ding. Anyway, we'll have that clip playing later.
Yeah.
That's our credits one, the Duel of Fate song.
It's gonna get taken down, dude. They're gonna flag us. It's YouTube.
we'll bit tune it, Just gonna go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
And that's another good throwback. Like if anyone's ever played on the Game Boy Advance, the DS one was kind of out there because it had space battles that weren't too good. But there was Episode 3, the game for it, which was a really cool side scroller where you could split battle somebody, you could do co-op using a link cable. But like you could play as Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obviously they have the same storylines. It's you could beat it in 4 hours, both stories. But you could go back and upgrade them, and it was just really fun to be able to do that. And it was a simplistic game. I got like 7 or an 8, and I can understand why, but it was still fun.
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
And it's like I feel like especially now in this time frame we're in, sadly, like they're finally starting to crack down on it. Like where you get like you buy a new laptop and like the person you're going to buy a new laptop, you look at reviews, and it's somebody saying nobody should ever vote Republican because Republicans are idiots, and then like then you have another guy who's saying, well, nobody should like Democrats because Democrats are the devil's servants, and there's no relevance. You're going back to that Dante doesn't have white hair to begin with. He's a kid, and if you play the game, you'll understand why he does later.
Yeah.
But that has no impact on how the game matures. If you like the subtle references that they live, artistic combat, or what's another one? The attitude, or he doesn't sound the same. Dante used to say like 3 or 4 things tops. So to be able to actually have him have dialogue now, that was really cool. That was a good game, by the way. People should play it. Don't listen to your friends.
Yeah, I liked 4. I haven't played
DMC. It was good.
I want to play it.
I'll let you borrow it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You're such a pal.
Right?
Yeah, no, so I'll get around to it. I have nothing against that, like the reboots, stylizing things differently. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. And if, I definitely would like more games in, like, the traditional Devil May Cry style. But, like, it is what it is.
Not American.
Yeah, there you go. Well, no, that was made by, that game was made in England, wasn't it?
Capcom? DMC was made in England, yes. It was Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
It did
yeah.
Journey to the West, which Dragon Ball Z was based on. You should all check out.
Definitely.
They redid that with steampunk elements and like a cyberized future.
Yeah.
I learned that from the robotic ghost of Christmas Past from the Future. It's my hero.
I'll just have a picture of that.
Yeah, it's going to be like, for the podcast portion of this, which might happen if you guys end up, anybody wants to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, man. I've been talking too long.
No, it's good. There is a blinky light that's starting to come on, which either means I'm running out of space on the camera.
Or 7 days.
7 days have passed.
Yeah, 7 days.
We're
One
screwed.
for each sin.
So, in summation, that we were basically talking about, kind of focusing on handhelds, but in general going on, like the main theme I think we were going into is tech.
Yeah.
And just how tech affects the
Gaming situation.
Yeah, just how you create the game and how lifestyle affects how you create a game too for
Yeah.
the target audience.
Because, it's just a beautiful thing. You can look back once, I'm going to use the Game Gear again. I think it had superior graphics, and it had a backlight and all those things, but it wasn't practical.
Oh no, I don't think it had a backlight.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it did?
It did,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
They had a backlight, I hope. If not, then I'll go home and turn one of my 5 on.
Careful, you might have a power outage if
Yeah,
you
right.
plug them into charge all at once.
the West Coast grid offline, thanks to archaic technology being plugged in.
Yeah,
But
it
yeah, it
had
wasn't-
great graphics, but it really
wasn't
couldn't hold a candle to the
practical.
Game Boy.
Yeah, Neo Geo Pocket was another good example. It was
Yeah.
expensive. It only had fighting games, which isn't bad if you like fighting games.
Yeah.
But it just could not. The Game Boy had the thing where you socialized with somebody else. You made it a party, and they go off their collectible thing because Nintendo started off as a collectible company, which they did. I wanted to go into that earlier, but I forgot. But that's a topic for next time. I think we had some pretty good fun talking about how limitations can enable you.
Definitely, and I think that's interesting. Just because there's so many elements that go into how or why a game turns out the way it was, and I'm really glad I got to talk to you today about it because it's always fun to like delve into those things and just look at why things might be the way they are.
Yeah, I agree. And then just, going back on that topic, like, it's cool to actually be able to talk about this. We will have more people. They just couldn't make it due to, like, I don't know, whatever excuse people get when people don't come to their birthday parties. But yeah, it should be going. And just remember, don't let your limitations guide you. ADHD is a powerful tool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look at what we're doing with our lives now.
Bela Lugosi did it.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah, with that, though, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll try to get more video, more discussions, topics to you guys next time. If you have any comments, we'd absolutely love to hear them. So please leave them in the comment box that will be enabled. Whatever box you want to put your stuff in, just put it in there.
Yeah.
Put stuff in a box and let your imagination bloom.
We're also accepting, we'd love if artists, send us drawings of, Nintendo. Any game-related one would be cool. We'll post it. We'll have it shown in the background. Promote you guys. Just send us what you got, and that will be entitled when we put it in whatever box we allow you to comment in.
With that, I've got demons to catch.
Yeah, that. Yes, then.
Okay, guys, have a great one. Take care.